A kind-hearted guy who never gives up and keeps pushing forward, Fujimaru Ritsuka is the embodiment of the idea that human potential is never zero. On the surface, he's just your slightly attractive young guy with good boy vibes. Like the perfect honor student, he's respected by legendary heroes throughout history. Even some of his enemies can't help but admire him. But if you stop and really think about his actions, you start to realize that, deep down, Fujimaru Ritsuka might just be the most insane character in the entire Fate series. At least, in my opinion, he's definitely got that crazy streak hidden behind his innocent smile. Now, when I say crazy, I don't mean he's like mentally ill or anything. What I mean is that Fujimaru's way of thinking is so off the charts that it can't be measured by normal human logic. I've mentioned in my other videos how Fujimaru is recklessly bold, to the point of being downright nuts. Yeah, maybe that's the right word. So let's dive in and talk about this master and his low-key craziness that often goes unnoticed. Remember when Fujimaru first arrived at Chaldea? He was literally sleeping in the hallway, got woken up by a cute girl, and started chatting with her. That's when Mash introduced him to Chaldea. I read somewhere, I can't remember where, that Fujimaru was basically kidnapped by Chaldea when he went to donate blood, and the scientists found out he had potential as a master. Some say he came to Chaldea after seeing a job poster. In any case, Fujimaru never talks about his family or his home being far from Chaldea. There's no panic in him whatsoever. He realizes his name is Japanese, while the first two people he meets have foreign names, yet he doesn't freak out at all. At this point, he doesn't even think about how he'll get back home, or if he even can. He just goes along with the briefing, and then he's suddenly recruited to save the world. Remember, unlike other masters, he doesn't have a magical lineage. He just has potential as a master, a potential to command heroic spirits and ray shift. That's it. But he still joins the briefing without any visible stress. And in the briefing room, he falls asleep. This guy shows zero signs of feeling the weight of the mission that's supposed to be crucial for the future of the world. Of course, since we know how strict Olga can be, she forbids Fujimaru from going on his first mission. She basically kicks him out. And how does our master react? No reaction. He just goes back to his room. Nothing. He's a little concerned and stressed, as his dialogues show, but you'd think he'd be freaking out about how to get back home, or what to do next. Instead, he just chills with the doctor. Honestly, I don't think a person with a typical mindset would react this way. After chatting a bit with Dr. Roman in his room, Fujimaru hears this loud bang and suddenly gets news from Dr. Roman, one of the higher-ups at Chaldea, that the place is about to go up in flames. The explosion was not supposed to happen, and Dr. Roman urges him to evacuate immediately. But instead of freaking out when he learns Chaldea is on fire, and all the skilled, way better masters are dead, our guy's reaction isn't fear. Nope. He just remembers that one girl he talked to once, and rushes straight to the literal source of the fire to see if she's okay. Like, wow. Then he finds her buried under a building. Now, as a regular dude with no powers, saving her seems impossible. The longer he stays, the worse his chances of survival. But what does Fujimaru do? He just ignores all that and starts lifting huge, burning debris off Mash until there's basically no hope left. You can even see his hands getting burned and smoking because the rubble is so hot from the explosion and fire. But he just wraps his uniform around his hands and keeps going. And when he hears that ray shift is still happening, he smiles? Like, he's totally chill with the fact that he's surrounded by fire and explosions. His potential girlfriend is trapped under a massive hot rock, and he's still casually asking Mash if she's okay, while holding her hand. Fast forward to Fuyuki. If you read the manga, you'll know that this Giga Chad was out here playing tag with assassins and other servants. Yeah, the same assassins that Uncle Bro chased down in the Heaven's Feel movie. One of them is chasing Fujimaru, and he ends up destroying half of Shiro's house before Mash swoops in to save him. It's like a total Shiro and Artoria moment, even down to the pose. Fujimaru's totally unhinged levels of boldness really shine when they face off against Medusa, who's been summoned as a lancer. Mash, now fused with Galahad, has all this stamina, strength, and an unbreakable shield. Fujimaru, being the master, should probably hide or at least rely on Olga's magecraft, right? Nope. Instead, he's thinking about how to help his Eggplant, even though he has zero magic, zero skills, zero anything. So what does he do? He jumps from the top floor, straight onto Medusa, carrying a big rock he picked up from some rubble. What on earth is this kid actually thinking? What kind of mindset do you need to have to drop a giant boulder on an enemy when you know she's a servant, a magical being with the power of heroes and mythology? Eventually, Medusa lasers the rock to pieces, but this gives Mash enough time to land a punch and knock Medusa out. Now, Shiro might have fought servants before, but he had some magecraft and background to fall back on. Fujimaru here, he's just winging it, hoping his Eggplant makes it out okay. Fujimaru then acts like everything's fine until the end of Singularity F, where he learns about the end of humanity. But somehow, he's barely shaken and decides to save it all himself. This random guy with no mage skills, no master experience, nothing at all, is just like, yeah, I got this. That was just a sneak peek at Fujimaru's actions that seem normal at first glance, but are actually packed with a level of recklessness bordering on pure insanity. Since there are way too many stories in FGO, I'm just gonna hit you with the highlights that really show how Fujimaru is a certified mad lad. My version, of course. So, Fujimaru Ritsuka, the last Giga Chad of humanity, heads to France during the 100 Years' War. And what does our beloved Eggplant Mash do? Picks a fight with the first French soldiers they meet because she tries to speak English to them. Yeah, trying to use English in front of a bunch of panicked French soldiers during a war. Not the smartest move. Then in Okeanos, this dude literally races against Heracles and wins. Yes, he outpaced the demigod Heracles in a race. Let that sink in. Then there's that time he stared down King Solomon himself. While all his servants and friends at Chaldea were shaking in their boots, this kid just locks eyes with Solomon, who's clearly trying to intimidate him. Fujimaru just stands tall with a look that says, "You want some of this?" In London, he teams up with Mordred, the infamous traitor knight. Not wild enough, he also teams up with Dr. Henry Jekyll, a guy known for pretending to be someone else to indulge in his evil side and betray his friends. What kind of thought process is running through this kid's head? In America, Fujimaru gets stuck in a mystical war against the Celtic army and somehow manages to manifest the concept of a shadow servant. And when he first tests out his shadow servant's ability, he doesn't even hesitate to use a noble phantasm. Then in Camelot, this guy straight up calls a goddess, or well, a divine spirit, a moron. Okay, not directly, but he says, humans aren't butterflies you can pin on a board. To normal people, that's pretty much saying, your ideology is dumb as hell. And he says this to a goddess holding a massive spear of light. In Babylonia, we see the full power of this MC's Riz. If Kirito can charm the ladies he saves, Fujimaru goes a step further by charming the goddesses he fights. He even had the audacity to yeet King Gilgamesh at Ereshkigal, and was straight up mad when King Gilgamesh tried to use his precious eggplant as bait. At the Temple of Time, well, Fujimaru literally uses himself, or more accurately, the bonds he forged, as the catalyst to summon every hero he's met for a battle against an endless horde of tentacles. And if that wasn't enough, he fights Goetia using Mash's shield. Now this isn't just any ordinary shield, it's Galahad's shield, which only Mash, with her superhuman stamina, can normally wield. But Fujimaru? He charges Goetia with this massive shield. And does he win? Of course he does. But wait, there's more. After brawling with Goetia, he still has to escape the Temple of Time while boxing it out with Goetia's human form, who's lost all his powers. Because why not? See? This MC is borderline insane, right? And that's just part 1. In part 2, when his mental state starts to crack, his craziness levels up even more. So smash that subscribe button and share my videos. Drop a comment too, so I don't run out of ideas.